The Fire Services Department said they were conducting rescue operations in response to the voltage dip at around 1:30 p.m. and members of the public are advised to stay calm if they're affected by the incident or got stuck in the elevators.
Will continue across the weekend with performance coming.
The public can also visit Memory Lane, where they can explore different classic Hong Kong film scenes and redesign costumes, such as A Guilty Conscience. Mimosa Ngai, TVB News.
Power interruption in the city for at least a second time in a week. More fireworks and drone shows are on the way. Vice Premier He Lifeng meets U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen for the second day in a row. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The city experienced another widespread power glitch today, the second time in a week. This as CLP Power's electricity supply system in Tuen Mun had a brief voltage dip this afternoon. And that led to more than 100 people being trapped in lifts across Kowloon and the New Territories and triggered multiple false fire alarms.
Walk through 14th floor, I cannot imagine that. Because you see here, we need to climb up to 20 meters. So if the lift cannot operate very well, so I think that is quite not convenient for us.
Mr. Zheng said he saw the lights flicker for 1 to 2 seconds. The Fire Services Department said they were conducting rescue operations in response to the voltage dip at around 1:30 p.m. and members of the public are advised to stay calm if they're affected by the incident or got stuck in the elevators. Train services on the MTR's Kwun Tong line were disrupted today because of a defect. It is the third straight day a defect has affected MTR trains. The Hong Kong Tourism Board said firework and drone shows will be staged for the public in May and June. The government earlier said they will regularly hold firework and drone displays in a bid to attract tourists and boost the local economy. The second Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival was launched today. Mimosa Ngai was at the festival.
Will continue across the weekend with performance coming.
The public can also visit Memory Lane, where they can explore different classic Hong Kong film scenes and redesign costumes, such as A Guilty Conscience. Mimosa Ngai, TVB News.
The demonstration scheme for the municipal solid waste charging program has been running for a week now, and there have been reports of residents facing difficulties in adapting to the scheme. An executive council member said the government will take feedback from citizens into consideration. The police have launched a 3-month taxi ambassador scheme to combat taxi drivers overcharging in Lan Kwai Fong. Vice Premier He Lifeng continued talks with U.S. Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen in Guangzhou today. Xinhua News Agency said the two sides agreed to discuss a range of economic and financial issues, including balanced economic growth in both the United States and China. Daniel Rao tells us more. And still ahead, rare earthquake in New York shocks the Big Apple. Joe Biden visits site of the bridge crash at Maryland. And UN Secretary General calls for independent probe over Israel's killing of 8 workers. Welcome back. In Taiwan, the quake-ravaged Hualien County was jolted by yet another earthquake this morning, scaled at magnitude 5.3 this time. It's one of the hundreds of aftershocks that have struck the island's east coast since the magnitude 7.4 earthquake hit Hualien on Wednesday. The death toll has risen to 13. Public memorial services were held today to mourn for the victims. A rare earthquake rattled the east coast of the United States on Friday, shocking people who are not accustomed to such tremors. The magnitude 4.8 quake shook millions of people from New York to Philadelphia. NBC has the story. U.S. President Joe Biden got a first-hand look at efforts to clear away the remains of the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore in Maryland in the U.S. This as cranes, ships, and diving crews work to reopen one of America's main shipping lanes. In Los Angeles, police and the FBI are continuing their investigation into the theft of some $30 million in cash from a money storage facility. One security expert says it is incredible that someone could gain access to a facility that holds so much money and doesn't rule out an inside job. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said he wants an independent investigation into Israel's attack on an aid convoy on Monday that resulted in 7 deaths. This after Israel's military admitted it had made mistakes and sacked 2 commanders who played a part in the attack on cars carrying workers from charity group World Central Kitchen. Guterres also appealed for an immediate ceasefire, the release of all hostages held by Hamas, the protection of civilians, and the unimpeded delivery of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Nasvi Karim has more. The Soyuz MS-24 spacecraft has undocked from the orbiting International Space Station, or ISS. A Russian space capsule with 2 women and 1 man safely landed in Kazakhstan today after their missions aboard the ISS. To sports, in football, Saudi Pro League runaway leaders Al Hilal stretched their world record winning streak to 32 matches with a 4-1 victory at El Khalij. Terrence Mann scored 19 points to lead 8 players in double figures as the Los Angeles Clippers thumped the Utah Jazz 131-102. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.